What's up, YouTube? This is the 82 and 0 podcast. Continuing on. Today we're going to talk about Bob Cousy. Now, he's the original point guard. And what I mean by that is he was what I would say started the traditional point guard. A playmaker, a facilitator. Um, He was born August 9th, 1928, and he was the son of French immigrants. His father and mother moved to New York City. He grew up in Yorkville neighborhood of Manhattan's East Side in the midst of the Great Depression. His father, Joseph, was a cab driver, and he earned extra money by moonlighting. The elder Cousy had served in the German army during World War One. Shortly after the war, his first wife died of pneumonia, leaving behind a younger daughter. He married Julie Corlett, a secretary and French teacher from Dijon. At the time of the 1930 census, the family rented an apartment in Astoria, Queens for $50 a month. The younger Cousy spoke French for the first 5 years of his life, and he started to speak English only after entering elementary school. He spent his early days playing stickball, which he grew up in a black neighborhood, which some people attribute it to his style of play, the way he played the game. And this also ingrained in him a strong anti-racist sentiment because, think about this, right? We're talking about a kid that was born in the late 20s, growing up in the 30s, and 40s. He grows up in a diverse neighborhood, and he goes out in the world and sees all this racism. How do you think that makes him feel when he sees the people that he grew up around, the people that he loved, being discriminated against? And that's what I really liked about Cousy from the start. He always had a good heart, sticking up for the oppressed no matter where they were at, Now, when he was 12, his family moved to St. Albans, Queens. That summer, Cousy put a $500 down payment for a $4,500 house 4 blocks away. He rented out the bottom half of the house for extra money. Isn't that crazy how you could buy a house for $4,500 back then? Cousy took up basketball at the age of 13 as a student at St. Pascal's Elementary School. And he immediately liked basketball. The following year, he entered Andrew Jackson High School in St. Albans. His basketball success was not immediate. He was actually cut from his basketball team his first year, but he later joined St. Albans. It was a basketball league sponsored by the Long Island Press, where he began to develop his basketball skills and gained much of his needed experience. The next year, however, he was cut again during the tryouts for the school basketball team. The same year, he fell out of a tree and broke his right hand. The injury forced him to play left-handed until he was able to be ambidextrous. In retrospect, he described the accident as a fortunate event, and he cited it as a factor in making him a more versatile playmaker on the court. During a press league game, the high school basketball coach saw him play, and he was impressed by the star's two-hand ability and invited Cousy to come practice the following day for tryout for the junior varsity team. He did well enough to become a permanent member of the JV squad. He continued to practice day and night, and by his junior year, he was sure he was going to make varsity. But failing his citizenship course made him ineligible for his first semester. He joined the varsity squad midway through the season, however, scoring 28 points in his first game. He had no intention of attending college after he started to make his name for himself on the basketball court. And, growing up in the Great Depression, it was hard to make it to college back then, I mean, it's still hard today, but he again excelled at basketball his senior year, leading them to a Queens Divisional Championship, amassing more points than any other New York City high school basketball player. He was even named captain of the Journal All-American Scholastic team. He then began to play for college. His family had wanted him to attend a Catholic school, and he wanted to go somewhere outside of New York City. Boston College recruited him, and he considered accepting the offer, but he eventually pulled out of it. He was impressed with a couple of the other schools he checked out, like Catskill Mountains College. I can't remember the name of the college. There was a few other ones he checked out. But anyways, he eventually decided on Holy Cross, and Cousy was one of 6 freshmen on the Holy Cross Crusaders varsity basketball team in 1946-47. From the start of the season, Coach Dougie Gillian chose to play the 6 freshmen off the bench in a 2-team system so that each player will get some time on the court. And Cousy had a pretty good collegiate career. And like I mentioned earlier, he played like a street ball style. And he was pretty notable. He was notable for his ambidextrous finesse play and the behind the back dribbling and the no hand behind the back and half court passing. And I'm trying to remember what year he came into the draft. But anyways, Holy Cross got into the 1947 NCAA tournament as the last seed and the only 8 tournament. In the first game, they defeated the Navy 55-47 in front of a sellout crowd at Madison Square Garden. And you got to understand, during this time, college basketball was actually more popular than the NBA. College basketball was huge back then. I mean, it's still huge, obviously, today, but back then it was more popular. So then they went on, and Holy Cross defeated the Beavers. And this was CCNY. I just couldn't remember the name of the college. I just remember the name of the team. But anyways, Cousy played very poor in the next game. They would lose 58-47, and he would only shoot 2 for 13. And anyways, Holy Cross became the first NCAA, the first New England team to win an NCAA tournament. So anyways, he goes on. He has a pretty good collegiate career. During his senior year of the 49-50 season, his fate changed in a match against Loyola of Chicago at Boston Garden. With 5 minutes left, Holy Cross was trailing. The crowd started to chant, "We want Cousy," until Coach Julian relented. In these few minutes, Cousy scored 11 points, hitting a game-winning buzzer beater coming off a behind-the-back dribble. The performance established him as a team leader, and he then led Holy Cross to 26 wins and an all-number 4 national ranking. A 3-time All-American, Cousy ended his college career in the 1950 NCAA tournament when Holy Cross fell to North Carolina State in an opening round game at Madison Square Garden. CCNY would go on to win the tournament. Now, what you got to know is the league literally just started a couple years prior to this. 46-47 was the first year of the NBA or BAA, whatever you want to call it. So he declares for the draft, right? And he originally got picked by the Tri-City Blackhawks. He was the 4th pick. And for anyone who doesn't know, that's the Atlanta Hawks today. So he gets picked by the Blackhawks, and he never reported to their training camp. So they were fed up. And, that was in April when he was drafted. And at the end of May, they just decided to trade him. So they tried him to the Chicago Stags for Frankie Bryan. Now, the Chicago Stags folded, right? And all the players on that roster were put in a dispersal draft. And the Boston Celtics picked him. Think about how lucky these Boston Celtics teams were in the 50s and 60s. Everything fell in their favor. So he's, on the Boston Celtics. And, they had Coach Red R back there. I think he came there his second season, maybe his first. I don't remember. And in the 50-51 season, he puts up 15.6 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 4.9 assists. And he was an all-star his first year there. And I do remember now, Red Auerbach was the coach there. So they don't have a lot of playoff success early on. They had some good teams in those early 50s. And Cousy was starting to get good regular season numbers. Like, for example, in the 51-52 season, his second year, he puts up 21.7 points, 6.4 rebounds, 6.7 assists. By the 52-53 season, he was leading the league in assists. And he's an 8-time assist champion, 8 times in a row. He got as high as 9.5 assists per game. And I know what you're thinking, okay, that's not very much. But you got to understand, back in this era, they didn't account an assist as an official assist unless you threw it to them and they shot right away. Like nowadays, you throw it to a dude and he takes like a couple dribbles and then he turns around and shoots. That's an assist, right? But back in this era, they had to shoot right when you pass it to them. So don't be fooled by seeing him average 7 assists. I mean, that's probably like the equivalent of 11 or 12. So the Boston Celtics, they never had any success. And then it all changed when they acquired Bill Russell for the 56-57 season. And by this time, I don't want to say Bill Russell was the best player on the team. Obviously that would change, but I think, like, you look at the 56-57 season, right? Bill Russell's first year there. Cousy wins MVP, and he's the first MVP in NBA history. This is when they got the award, started the award. He puts up 20.6 points per game, 7.5 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. And he was a very popular star. He put fans in the seats even before they were winning games or championships. Fans were going to see him. And so they win a championship in 57 together. They win in 59, they win in 60, they win in 61, 62, and 63. So he's a 6-time NBA champion by the end of his career, right? And he retires. The Celtics were deep enough that they didn't need him anymore. As harsh as that sounds, they were such a good team. And he was 34 at this period in the 62-63 season. And he would stay retired all the way up until the 69-70 season because he made a comeback while he was coaching, which I'll get into in a second. He was coaching the Cincinnati Royals, which are today, if anyone doesn't know, the Sacramento Kings. So he was coaching them, and he decided to make a comeback, and he was not very good. He played 7 games, and he averaged 0.7 points. He was 41 years old at that time. And he would go on to coach them up into the 73-74 season. He wasn't a very good coach. He was a great player, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't a very good coach. Anyways, let's talk about his resume. He's has career averages of 18.4 points, 7.5 assists, 5.2 rebounds. Like I said, he's a MVP. He's a 12-time All-NBA, 13-time All-Star, 8-time NBA assist champion, 6-time NBA champion, and he's on the 50th anniversary team and the 75th anniversary team. And to me, he's one of the most important players in NBA history, just for his contributions. He's still alive today, and today he's 93 years old. So we still have him here today, thank God. And, that's something I would like to really meet these older players, because with them getting up there in age, it'd be really nice to meet them and hear their stories, because they didn't have a lot of footage of these players back then. It'd be nice to hear the stories that have been lost. And Cousy, like I said earlier in the video, he always been an outspoken stance against racism, and this comes from his environment growing up. Cousy married his college sweetheart, Missy, on December of 1950, 6 months after he graduated Holy Cross. They lived in Worcester, Massachusetts, and they had 2 daughters. His wife died on September 20th, 2013, after suffering dementia for several years. Cousy and Russell stayed close over the years, I want to mention. But I want to talk about the player union. In 1954, the NBA had no health benefits or a pension plan or a minimum salary, and the average player's salary was $8,000, which is the equivalent of $82,000 in 2021. To combat this, Cousy organized the National Basketball Players Association, the first trade union among the 4 major sports leagues in America. So, hats off to him, man, because we see the Players Union today doing a lot of good. And he received a Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2019. So, that is Bob Cousy's story. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thanks for watching. I can feel you.